Okay, erstens, bezig met praten. Zeg nou. The awesome thing, for just that they're taking Yonim Moshiach Vagul and learning it Be'ir and the Zera Kutazach. Besides for having hearing of some word about Mashiach after davening for 5 seconds, or a little more to come to Mashiach share once a week, to hear another half another thing for another 10 minutes. It's this partial take in Yonim Mashiach Vagul to understand it very, very well. This is what was said in Veschan and Aleph to learn in Yonim Mashiach Vagul in a way of his tackle. The Iyun, these Beinunus, the Pashat, to really understand, that Rebbe even says this week, that's Rebbe Tzayra, in one of the artists in the end, the Gam Elu, Shareitzim Lilmid Be'iyun, Adla Hadish, Kedushay Torah, Yonim Mashiach Vagula, even those that want to learn Be'iyun, the Rebbe says, that they make Kedushay Torah, Yonim Mashiach Vagula, nevertheless, they should be Mishtadaf and Ashir, Mizman. But it should be I mean, you know, in Not Lubavitch Yeshivas, they don't learn anything, so they're mamish amaratz and Yonim Mashiach Vagula. But Lubavitch, you learn a couple of minutes here, a couple of minutes there, but that's to be koiveya, I know, a ganze dry take to learn is mamish a gewaldige Zach. And the main, one of the main tiniest of the Rebbe is that how could it be that it's as a man Zakeh ben Egeta the Gul it's Chedesh Nissen and Chov Zayin Nissen Chov Ches of Tess, and it's Beis Baimer, Gimel Baimer, Itala the Baimer, like such a high time when you get to Mashiach and no one cares. It's not garnished, you get weiter, you davening Ma'ariv, and you go home. The Rebbe wants that it should be, you know, something that's in the Ger Benevish, that you should feel Mashiach, and you're not screaming at Mosai to do the Rebbe a favor, like the Rebbe said. Yeah, you're screaming at Mosai, and what was the Rebbe says over there? Wird geschrien mit an Emes, das gemeint mit an Emes ist eine sichere Sache, als Mashiach wollte schon von Lein gekommen. The Alter Rebbe says in Tanya Perikla mit Zayin, Horei v'Hashem l'chol k'irei v'l'chil asher yikreuhu be'emes. Nein Emes ala Teira. Nicht wie die was, not like someone that just screams Abba, Abba, or whatever, but someone that's Teira, the Eibishter be'emes through Teira. So after Chavches Nissen, the main Sturm of the Rebbe, was, you know, Tazireh Mitzayre, the Rebbe says, what's the Derech HaYeshara is Limud HaTorah bin Yonim Mashiach. Durich Limud HaTorah, Sai, the Etzem Zach, it's calling Mashiach Be'emes through Torah, but also, how could someone come to even really want Mashiach as if he's going to learn in Yonim Mashiach Vagula and learn it Be'iyun, Be'ez Beinenus, V'chulu. Okay. In Yonim Mashiach Vagula itself, there is a very, very Lania's deity, one of the most Yisoidis Dike and Ikris Dike in Yonim, in Mashiach Vagula. You ask a guy, I remember when I was in Olim Teda Zal, so in many Sichas the Rebbe uses the Loshen Svizayin, the Ketzar Galus, der noch des Chalte de Geula, der noch de Geula mit Shleima, und Davke durch Mashiach, many Sichas. Over here, I just brought at least 25 letters of the Rebbe about it, where the Rebbe says this again and again and again. There's sichas, bleeds off again and again. The Rebbe is just, you know, even you look at the Sefer in the back and the Nespochim, the Kisvei Yad, in the Paximilias, the Rebbe, you can see many sichas more than once. The Rebbe just says in the Sicha, Bagula Mitis Vashleima, and that's it. So the Rebbe adds in Beksaviat Kodesh, the Psak Din Arambam. Hilchas Malachim Parikid Aleph. Yamid Malach Mamiz David, Hege Batera, Vesik Mitzvahs, Sagul is Davke durch Mashiach. And Bin in Beis HaMikdash is Farkib, it's go. This is something that the Rebbe brought so many times. So now you go to, I remember I went then to the Mshom Charetonov. I asked him, when is Ketzar Galus? When exactly is Ketzar Galus? Rabbi Tzeitlin asked me, okay, so what's this shir going to be on? I said, once Ketzar Galus is Chal to the Gula according to the Rambam. So he asks me, okay, so which words in the Rambam is it? So in this itself, you have Machloikas of Poiskim. You're going to go to Rabbi Yossi Keller, he's going to tell you Ketzar Galus is Yamid Malach Beis David. I don't know, that's what he holds. Shalom Charatonov says it's been in Beis Hamikdash. Shmuel Chaim Blooming told me this. Each guy is telling me something else. And Nachman Shapiro, everyone is saying a different thing. Now, Davkin, this thing, the Rebbe says, das is a psak din borur umefurish in the Rambam. Something that's a psak din borur umefurish, something that's clear. The Rebbe says, you don't even need, there's no need. I just saw the Yeshivas to some teenagers. They asked the Rebbe, is there a schal to the gula? The Rebbe says, just open up a Rambam and read it, watch the pshat, and see when's the schal to the gula. So how is it shayef in such a thing that the Rebbe says it's a psak din borur umefurish, and you hear 50 shittas? So basically, it's taka pretty bordered. And we're going to see inside Beit Hashem, inside the Rebbe's Lashon, and understand, well, first of all, what's not clear. Why are people mixed up? And why there's no need to be mixed up. Now, if you look inside the papers, the paper that has the Sicha, this is a very famous Sicha. Anywhere in the Rebbe's Torah, in Sichas for sure, Muga or Bilti Mig, whatever the Rebbe's Metzai, and the Rebbe says, Ketzar Galus, Eschal to the Gula, so they're usually Metzai into this thing. The Sichas, Chelik, hey, I'm at 149. So if you look over here at the paper, that's like a big long order. The Rebbe says like this, it's a very famous Sicha. So the Rebbe is speaking about Mitzvah Tefillin, then the Rebbe says, und das ist doch euch achon zu bias Moshiach Tzidkenu. Was la'acharei biyasi und durch ihm wird sein Ketzar Galus. After that, Moshiach Tzidkenu is going to come, and through him is going to be Ketzar Galus. Und noch, wie der Rambam sagt, es klar und deutlich, wird sich anheben, die Schalte der geula. And after that, like the Rambam says very clearly and in a very detailed way, that will start as Schalte der geula. The Schalte der geula is going to start. Und noch, die geula amit is war schleim. Und noch, und durch Mashiach and Davke kibbutz galus. And after that, and through Mashiach specifically, is going to be kibbutz galus. Now, you have the Rambam in the same page of quoted in a letter of the Rebbe. You see over here on the bottom. Now, if you'll see, the Rebbe ends off, the Rebbe brings over here the Rambam. The last thing the Rambam says Mashiach is going to do is kibbutz nitche Yisrael. And what it seems from the Pashta Pshat, from the Sikh over here, the guy's reading it like this, 1, 2, 3, like this, it looks like that kibbutz galus is after the Gula Mitzvah Shleima. That's what it looks like. The Rebbe says it's going to be Ketzar Galus. After that, the Schalta the Gula. After that, the Gula Mitzvah Shleima. And after that, kibbutz galus. What does that mean? So now, in the Lashon of the Rambam, kibbutz nitche Yisrael is the last thing. So you would say, this is how Rabbi Yossi Keller learns it. The kibbutz nitche Yisrael is after the Gula Mitzvah Shleima. So what's Gula Mitzvah Shleima? Being in Beis Hamikdash. What's his Chalta the Gula? Nitzach Kol Omid Shesviva. What's Ketzar Galus? Yamid Melech Bebeis David. This is the way he learns it. Okay, he takes the Rambam and he goes backwards. Here the Rebbe says kibbutz galus. So before that, it's been in Beis Hamikdash. Okay, so what's Ketzar Galus? Yamid Melech Bebeis David. What's Schalta the Gula been in Beis Hamikdash? No, Schalta the Gula is not Zich Kolom is Shesviva. Gula Mitzvah Shleim has been in Beis Hamikdash, and then comes kibbutz galus. Okay, now look inside to the next paragraph right after this. The Rebbe says, all the way on the top, if you see over here, it says, Kol Zman, all the time that we're in Galus, Advias Mashiach Tzidkenu, Sheilchol Melchemes Hashem, Yinatzach, Yivna Beit HaMikdash B'mkeimei, V'achar Kach, Yikabetz Nitche Yisrael, Ketzar Galus. Here the Rebbe says, Mashiach's going to come, been in Beit HaMikdash, Kibbutz Nitche Yisrael, Ketzar Galus. When is Ketzar Galus? After Yikabetz Nitche Yisrael. Over here you see the biggest extreme. From here, it sounds like when's kibbutz galus? After the Gula Mitzvah Shleima. That's what it looks like. Over here, what does the Rebbe say? That the first thing, Ketzar Galus, is only after kibbutz galus. Yeah? When Ketzar Galus starts only after the Kibbutz Nidche Yisrael. So once it's Chalta the Gula is later on. What is that? Okay, what's the Chalta the Gula? What's Gulam Titzvah Shlema? We need to figure out. But here it says the Kibbutz Nidche Yisrael. That's Ketzar Galus. Now the next paragraph, right next to it on the right, the Rebbe says, "On Chas v'Sholom zu sagen, as it's trained dort is Chalta the Geula." Und wie der Rambam Paskin Abib sagt in Boru, as this Chalta de Geula, wie Kabitz Nidche Yisrael, wird sich anfangen, erst Achri Bias HaMashiach, und durch ihm, und noch dem, was Jakob kol Yisrael leilig balch, als ich bitko wilchem Chamis Hashem, und noch dem, wie Bono Mikdash bim Koimei. Here, what does the Rebbe say? When's this Chalta de Geula? After the Kabitz Nidche Yisrael. So, we have over here three sikhs that look a little bit like they're soiser one to another. On one hand, from here it looks like Kibbutz Goliath is after the Gula Amitis Vashlema. From here, this sikha from Chelik Yud is mashma that Kibbutz Nidche Yisrael is the Ketzar Galus. The other place that Rebbe says that is Chalta the Gula is Kibbutz Galus. So, once it's Chalta the Gula, what's Ketzar Galus? When's Bono Mikdash bim Koimei? Second. Okay, now the question is if I should mix you up even more with all the different opinions, how they learn this, how you learn these stuff, but maybe we'll go shtickle yashar instead of making a whole salad. The Rebbe, and all of these sikhs that the Rebbe is bringing over here, the Rebbe has one matorah. The Rebbe is not giving a Rambam shir, that the Rebbe is quoting the Rambam a million times. The Rebbe is coming to be shoylel a specific shitta, a specific hashkafa that these Mizrachim have, these Mizrachistim have. Be'ezer Hashem, when we're working on the Sefer, I was looking to see if any other the Rabbeim also speak about Hilchas Malach HaMashiach, the Shleim is saying, you're ready to bring everything the Rebbe said, so bring from all the Rabbeim. So I didn't find anything from the Alter Rebbe, the Mittel Rebbe, the Tzemach Tzedek, the Rebbe Marash. I did find from the Rebbe Rashab, where he brings a whole Arichis in the Rambam. Where does he bring the Rambam? The very, very famous letter. I think the Rebbe even calls it Michtav HaYudua from the Rebbe Rashab. There's a letter of the Rebbe Rashab being shoylel the Mizrachim, the Zionist movement. And over there, that's where he brings the Rambam, where he says that Kibbutz Goliath has to be done specifically through Mashiach. It can't happen by itself. They're saying, who needs Malach HaMashiach? We'll make Kibbutz Goliath happen by ourselves. And they have their Makoidis. It says, they bring them a Gemara Megillah, it says, Kevin Shenivinis Yerushalayim Ba Mashiach. So after Yerushalayim is going to be built, then Malach HaMashiach is going to come. So you don't need Malach HaMashiach till Beis HaMikdash is built. You don't even need Mashiach to build the Beis HaMikdash. And Nochma, they bring a Medrash Tanchuma. It says that there's going to be Kibbutz Goliath before Binyan Beis HaMikdash. So according to them, you're going to have Kibbutz Goliath. After that, we'll take care of the Beis HaMikdash. And after that, Malach HaMashiach is going to come. And they bring a Yerushalmi brachas in the beginning. It says that the Geula is going to be Kima Kayelas HaShachar. The Geula is going to take place. There was two Tanaim walking, and they saw, before Alayis HaShachar, there's another thing given before called Ayelas HaShachar. But once a little bit of the light of the sun comes, then comes Alayis HaShachar, then Mishayakir, then Netzachama, then there's Chatzos Hayoim. So when they were seeing the sun rise, they said, this is the way the Geula is going to take place. Very slowly, step by step. It's not going to happen in one shot, like when they left from Mitzrayim, Kahedafine. It's going to be so they say, the Geula is a very slow process. First, all the Yidden are going to go to Eretz Yisrael by themselves, without a Malach HaMashiach, without anything, and it can take time with planes, with I don't know what, with boats, and then they're gonna build a Beis Hamikdash by themselves. Rav Kook had his plans to build a Beis Hamikdash, Seder, and then Malach HaMashiach is gonna show up. I don't know when. So this is their ashkofa. And they say that when Yidden are going to Eretz Yisrael, this is the Schalte de Geula. The Geula is starting off by Yidden going to Eretz Yisrael. This is not a Geula Shleim. This is not the complete Geula. That's going to happen through Mashiach, when Mashiach comes in 1,000 years. But till then, the Geula could already start. It could have a Schalte de Geula. When Melech HaMashiach is going to come, then he's going to finish the Geulus B'Shleimus. But a Schalte de Geula can start when the Yidden are already in Geulus. This is their interessante Shitte, that they have Oir v'choshech mishamshim b'rebuvia. You can be in Geulus, at the same time you can already have a Schalte de Geula, a Reishis Tzmichas Geula Seinu, and then later on the Geula is going to, the actual Geula Shleim is going to take place when Mashiach shows up. This is, and like you can see over here, and when the Rebbe quotes their weird shit, wait a second, the Rebbe says over here, look at, you see page 12 from Yud Ches, from the Sefer, from the Ramah, you can see Mechtav Dalid. The Rebbe says like this, Nevhalti likreis b'teichen u'umei sheb'michtovei v'zel l'shoymi. Achshav she'iganu be'ezer Hashem l'schalte de geula. I was mamish nivel from what you wrote, that now he got to the schalte de geula. And he madgish like a schalte. This guy is writing to the Rebbe that he's emphasizing this is only a schalte de geula. When is the actual Gula Shleim going to take place? That's later on when Mashiach is going to come. But you can have a Schalte de Gula without Mashiach, and even when they're in Gulas. Now, this shit is what the Rebbe is coming to be shaylu. Okay, now what is? We'll go step by step. What is Ketzar Galus? What does it mean that the Galus is finishing? In order to understand what does it mean Ketzar Galus, you need to understand what does Galus mean to know what does it mean Ketzar Galus, that the Galus finishes. What is this Galus? How do you magdir Galus? So now the Rambam himself is magdir Galus. If you look, if you bring Hilchas Shuvah Perek Tes, the Rambam writes like this. Four lines from the bottom, second to the last word, the Rambam says like this: all of these things that were promised, for example, soiva, to be satisfied and to be hungry. The Rambam is saying two extremes: umilchama, shalim, umalchus, v'shivlus, v'yeshivas ha'aretz, galus. Here the Rambam says, what is galus? The opposite of Yeshivas Ha'aretz, the simple meaning of what someone's geula, the irmikulot, geula, the pirish aparshut of the word galus means when someone is not in his place. When someone is taken away from his place, that is galus. That's the simple meaning of the word galus. What's the pshat of galus? So galus is not, when you have Yamid Malach, has nothing to do with like Rabbi Keller learns, Yamid Malach doesn't mean see my galus at all. The galus doesn't finish just by a king standing up, and it doesn't either finish by being menatzeach over all the goyim. But some people bring a Rabbi Blooming holds that Ketzar galus is v'nitzach kol homish esvim, because it says ein ben elam haza the Yemesa Mashiach al shibud malchus bovad. So when the shibud malchus leaves, that means the galus is over. But that's not the meaning of galus. That could be called tzoris or something else. So Pirish a milah of galus means when someone is not in his place. When did galus start? When the Yidden were sent out of Eretz Yisrael, or kicked out of Eretz Yisrael, or left Eretz Yisrael, that's when the galus started. When does the galus finish? When all the Yidden come back to Eretz Yisrael, that's when the galus is done. That's Ketzar galus. That's what the Rebbe says in the Sikha that we learned before. The Rebbe uses the Lashon, the Rebbe says, Bana Migdash b'mkoymei, the Kibbutz Nidche Yisrael, Ketzar galus. After the Kibbutz Nidche Yisrael, that's when is Ketzar galus. That's when the galus finishes. And this is in Pashta Pshat of the word galus. When all he didn't come back to Eretz Yisrael, that's when the galus is over. Now, this is in the Pashta Pirush of the word galus. According to Now, a bissel tiffer that the Rambam, like the Rebbe says, is a sefer of halachas. Halachas are Torah. Everything is connected to Torah and mitzvahs. What is galus according to halacha? Galus is when you cannot do Taryag mitzvahs Torah. That's what galus means. When you're this that we're not able to do 613 mitzvahs, that is galus. And like the Rebbe says, if you look at the same page where you had the Rambam, and the first paragraph in the famous Sikh from Balakit Ches, page 278, the Rebbe says like this: Das heißt, die alle in Jordan haben gefällt in Kiyum Torah mitzvahs. Mit Sadam, was es hat gefällt in Shleimus Kol Yisrael und Beis HaMikdash, was das is galus in galus. What is galus? That you're not able to do when you're missing the Shleimus of all the Yidden in Eretz Yisrael with the Beis HaMikdash, when you're not able, which brings to a matzav that you cannot do 613 mitzvahs, that is galus. This that we're not doing Taryag mitzvahs, that is galus. When does galus finish? When you have a Beis HaMikdash. When you have all the Yidden in Eretz Yisrael, that's when the galus finishes. Ketzah galus. So Lu Yitzuyid, the geula would be according to the Seder of the Medrash Tanchuma. The first would be Kibbutz Galus, and after that, Binin Beis HaMikdash. So even after Kibbutz Galus, if there's no Beis HaMikdash, it's also galus. Why? Because you don't have a Beis HaMikdash. You cannot be Mekayim, all the mitzvahs that are totally in the Beis HaMikdash. And like the Rebbe brings many, many times, and he brought it over here, that even Yidden that are in Eretz Yisrael, if you turn the page, to the page, from you see it says Erev Reish Shara Tavshin and Beis. The Rebbe brings this many, many times. The Rebbe says that Iker und Shleimus von Vetzilu Aida is the Atzala von dem Itztek and Maimud und Matzah von Golus. But Gula Amidis war Shleimo, warum afilu div was haben. Euch Itzter in Golus. Harchavin Parnas Rucheris und Harchavin Parnas Gashmis und afilu div was gefinden sich in Eretz HaKodesh. Auf ein Har HaKodesh. Dort in Kufa in der Marke Vachikorev zu der Marke Kodesh HaKadoshim. Sagen sie aber dort in euch bepnei Ateno Golino Marzeno. Warum hat noch nicht am Mikdash Adne können Yodecha und es ist noch nicht am Matze von Koljish Ve'aleh, was darf gedammt hat man mit Schleims all den Jahren im Kel Mitzvahs Yevel, was ist beim Juchat verbunden mit Shichur und Geula, und Meshkas und Schaft und Ishal Achosas und Ishal Mishmach die Teshuva Mishnasa Yevel. Okay, so basically, galus is that you cannot be Mekayim Torah mitzvahs. Now, even this that all the other Eretz Yisrael, because we're not able to be Mekayim Taryag mitzvahs Torah, even if Kibbutz Galus happens first, it's still galus. If you don't have a Beis HaMikdash, when you have a Beis HaMikdash, when you have Kibbutz Galus, and the Rebbe says this is like Don of Galus, and you look later in the same page in Sif Yud, the Rebbe says that it came from halachos and mitzvahs Torah, but says batel geworden durch galus Yisrael. What's galus Yisrael? When either are not in Eretz Yisrael, and also like the Rebbe says, did this that you're not able to be Mekayim Torah mitzvahs, that's galus. So what's Ketzah galus? After Binyan Beis HaMikdash and after Kibbutz Galus. Now, what's the Schalta de Geula? What's the Schalta de Geula? What's the Geula starting? So many people make the mistake. The Rebbe uses the Lashon, so it's either Ketzah Galus, und danach die Schalta de Geula. So it sounds like it's a separate thing. You have Ketzah Galus, and danach there's going to be a separate Pa'ula of Mashiach, which is Schalta de Geula. Like the Rebbe uses the Lashon many, many times. There's going to be Bana Mikdash Bim Koimei, and danach the Yekavitz Nitche Yisrael. He's going to build a Beis HaMikdash first before Kibbutz Galus. Here also the Rebbe is coming to be Shiloh. There's Shitta that there's Kibbutz Galus before Beis HaMikdash. So the Rebbe emphasizes there's going to be Binyan Beis HaMikdash, and danach Kibbutz Galus, before Kibbutz Galus. You need to have a Beis HaMikdash. Maybe you have a Schalta, you have Ketzah Galus, and danach the Schalta de Geula is a separate Pa'ula. But the answer is no. That danach that the Rebbe is saying over here is okay. The Rebbe is saying over here is not making it, is not a separate Pa'ula. The Rebbe is coming to be Shiloh that they're saying that there's a Schalta de Geula before Ketzah Galus. They're saying before the Galus finishes, you already have a Schalta de Geula. According to them, you can have Oir v'choshech m'sharim shim birbuvia. You can have his Schalta de Geula in Galus. So the Rebbe emphasizes the Schalta de Geula doesn't start before the Galus finishes. There needs to be the Ketzah Galus, and danach the Schalta de Geula. The Rebbe is not separating it from that it's a separate Pa'ula that Malach HaMashiach is going to do this and this, and that means Ketzah Galus. He's going to do this and this, that's going to be a Schalta de Geula. No. The Schalta de Geula is what the Rebbe says in Shreiftim Nun Aleph, the Piddush of the word Tchila. What's the difference between the Rishon and Tchila? Rishon, Meikara Mashma. Rishon could be something that's separated from the thing itself. Tchila means the beginning of the thing itself. The difference between Rosh Hashanah and Tchilas Hashanah Rosh could be the head of the year that's giving Chayes the whole year, but it's separated. Tchila means it's the beginning of the thing itself. As Chalta the Geula is the beginning of the actual Geula. The Chalta the Geula doesn't mean once the galus finishes, you finish the galus, you have a Beis HaMikdash, all the other narratives, the galus finishes, so automatically the geula starts. It's not a separate pa'ula that he's going to do to make it. There's no Ketzar galus, so now there's nothing. What's the status? Now that was nothing status. It's not galus, it's not geula. There's no such a thing. You finish the galus. How do you make the galus finish? Through Binyan Beis HaMikdash and Kibbutz Galius, and then automatically you have this. The geula starts off. And if you can see the Rebbe's lashon in Chelik Hey over here, the Rebbe's lashon is durch ihn wird sein der Ketzar galus. Und danach wird sich anheben die Schalte de Geula. He's going to finish the galus, and automatically the Schalte de Geula is going to start. It's not a separate pa'ula. So this that the Rebbe emphasizes, danach is that to be shoyler their shit. All the times the Rebbe is bringing it is to be shoyler a specific. This is that the Rebbe is emphasizing again and again and again. Durch im through Mashiach. Why is it? Because their shit is you don't need a Melech HaMashiach. It can happen without a Melech HaMashiach. So that's why the Rebbe is emphasizing through Melech HaMashiach. Al derech zeh, the dernoch is that galus has to finish before the geula starts. The geula doesn't start, even the schal of the geula doesn't start without the galus finishing before. So therefore, like you see, this that the Rebbe says over here in the page of Chelik Hey, where the Rebbe says, as the schal to the geula of Yekabetz Ritcha Yisrael, that the schal to the geula is going to be by the Yekabetz Ritcha Yisrael, is not a stire. That's that the Rebbe says Ketzar galus is also the Yekabetz Ritcha Yisrael, because what does you could there's sur meirav asi toiv. You're emphasizing. The question is, what are you focusing on? Are you focusing on that the geula is finished, or you're focusing on the geula starts? It's one pa'ula that makes that change makes this transformation from galus to geula. So either you can say that it's the end of the galus, or you can say this is the beginning of the geula, but it's the same mitzad of ma'aseh that Melech HaMashiach is going to do. It's one ma'aseh that changes it from galus, Ketzar galus, and it's also this chal to the geula. Like you can see, there's a very sharp letter on the same page. Here the Rebbe says, look inside, over here, in Halacha Dalit, the Rebbe says, V'm yamen melech b'beis David, hoig about Torah, basic, v'm mitzvahs k'David haviv, k'tereh sheb'ksav, sheb'al peh, Yaakov kol Yisrael lelech b'al chazik, b'tka b'ilcha m'chamis Hashem, arei ze b'chasket shul Mashiach, l'hoir, sheze adayin eini simen b'tuach la'geula, shere kol ze adayin yachal likres b'matzav shal galus. Okay? Now even more than that, Achim osav yitzleach ben yonim anal, da'hainu shenitzach b'chol amal chamis, the conference call Am Yisrael little bit Torah l'sakin as bitka. Achadayin inenu betuchim. Even after the nitzach kol omeith, the Rebbe says it's still not Ketzar galus. When he drashu manu l'simen neiseh v'hu bana mikdash b'mkeimei. He needs to build a Beis HaMikdash b'biru b'Yerushalayim v'rakedesh amana shedich v'seh yudis g'dei l'bir hazois. If he's going to build a Beis HaMikdash, that means there's going to be a lot of Yidden already in Eretz Yisrael. Even after being in Beis HaMikdash. And you can have karbanis, the galus is not over yet. What did the Rebbe says? It's a psak in border in the Rambam. Someone opens up the Rambam. It's very clear that there's Mashiach is not Mashiach, he's not Moshiach Bavada. You don't know for sure that the galus is over till Kibbutz Nidche Yisrael. There's nothing you're going to go. If a guy learns the Rambam, the Rambam says, Klorin Deitel, it's very clear. There's no, the Rambam says, he's not Mashiach, the geula doesn't start, the galus doesn't finish till Kibbutz Nidche Yisrael. Okay, so now the question is, if we're learning that Binyan Beis HaMikdash and Kibbutz Galus, that makes the galus finish when you're able to do all the Torah and mitzvahs, and that's when there's this chal to the geula. So what's the difference between this chal to the geula and the geula shleima? According, if you're going to learn that say the Sima Galus is by Nitzach Kolom Mitzvah, and Binyan Beis HaMikdash makes it as chal to the geula. And Kibbutz Nidche Yisrael is the geula mitzvah shleima. You could explain what's the difference. According to this, that is chal to the geula is when you already have Beis HaMikdash and Kibbutz Galus. What's the difference between the beginning of the geula and the geula shleima? So first of all, like we said before, the Rebbe learns beginning is not a achana for something else. Beginning is the beginning of the thing itself, the beginning of the geula itself. What's the difference between is chalta the gula, and gula shleima. So the Rebbe says many times, like we see over here, if you look at the page, that it says on the top, Sefer HaSichos Tavshin Memches, the Rebbe says, After became, proved men das nicht gula amitis. We all the gulas, we didn't call them gula amitis, weil das hat nicht angeriert, alkopanim nicht ausgelöst, alle Juden. Was in the gula sida wird angerufen, gula amitis, war schleima, weil das wird sein, a gula von alle Juden, und von kol elam kulei. What's gula amitis, var schleima, coming to add that it's going to have an effect with every single Yid. The next paragraph, the Rebbe says, moving. So with the reino der Yosem, middag is a der dikvis of the Moshiach, a sefer galus, la'achona krevel eschal to the gula ha'amitis, asher aleh ne'man shliya gula shleima, zet semeres, she'af ish echad mi'Yisrael lo yishor b'galus. What does it mean, gula amitis, and gula shleima, that it's going to be for every single Yid? Which means, eschal to the gula, in order for the gula to start, means that it needs to be a time that you can do all 613 mitzvahs. In order to do 613 mitzvahs, you need a Beis HaMikdash, and you need to have Kol Yeshivas Lubavitch. Kol Yeshivas Lubavitch does not mean that you need every single year to be in Eretz Yisrael. In order to be a kind of Shemitah V'Yovel, the Rebbe brings from the Ritva, the Ramban, from Muhammad Shemafarshim, that you need Kol Yeshivas Lubavitch doesn't mean every single year. So if a guy needs to go out of Eretz Yisrael for 5 minutes, all of a sudden Shemitah V'Yovel becomes bottle. No. Kol Yeshivas Lubavitch means you need to have a ruba shel kol shavit. You need to have a majority of the Yidden in Eretz Yisrael, but you don't need every single Yid to be in Eretz Yisrael. So eschal to the geula means Malach HaMashiach needs to be makabetz enough Yidden to make it possible to do 613 mitzvahs. That is eschal to the geula. Enough Yidden to make it to be makabetz. See, he starts to be Mekabetz Nidcha Yisrael. He's Mekabetz Nidcha Yisrael enough to have a Roy Yidden in Eretz Yisrael. Doesn't need to be every single Yid. It could be some of them. Enough to be Mekayim Shemitah V'Yovel. That makes it already a schal to the Gula. But the Rebbe says, Gula Amitis V'Ashleiva, when it's every single Yid. What? Here the Rebbe says clearly, what's the gula? Why you say Hamitis V'Ashleiva means that it's for every single Yid. Yeah. You don't need. Why is Malach HaMashiach? The Rebbe says clearly. Why is Mashiach being Mekabetz Yidcha Yisrael? In Bolek Yud Ches, the Rebbe says. The Rambam says V'Oisin Shmitin V'Yovel. It's the Matorah of Kibbutz Galus is to make it. So once there's enough Yid in Eretz Yisrael, he's not going to be Mekabetz. Let's say it's Maderach. He's not going to be Mekabetz every Yid in a half a second. Let's say it's going to take time. So he's to look to once there's enough Yid in Eretz Yisrael to be Mekayim Shemitah V'Yovel, that's his chal to the Gula. Then when he's continuing to bring all the Yidden, that's Gula Amitis V'Ashleiva. Like you see in the next paragraph inside, from this, as of now, I brought 2 places where the Rebbe clearly says the Piddush of Gula Shleiva, that it's for every Yid. And Gula, like we said before, the simple meaning is that a Yid comes back to Eretz Yisrael. That's the Piddush of Parshat of the word Geula. But now you look, and actually go back to the page that has the Rambam over here on the top. The Rebbe says, look at all the way in the end. The Lashon Geula Hashlishis is greater than the Lashon of Beis HaMikdash Hashlishi. It says the Rebbe Kamuvan Mizeh Geula Kibbutz Galus. The Geula, what's Geula? Kibbutz Galus is going to be after being in Beis HaMikdash. The Rebbe puts in, what does Geula mean? Kibbutz Galus. So Geula, Schal to the Geula means that Schal of Kibbutz Galus, which means you have enough Yidden in Eretz Yisrael that are being, you can be Mekayim Shemitah V'Yovel. Geula Shleim is that there's every Yidden in Eretz Yisrael. Now go back to the earlier page where the Rebbe brings down what we just read before. There are not a third place that Rebbe says it. Un ervet bringen die schal to the Gula. Second to the last paragraph. Mashiach is going to bring the schal of the Gula. Und zusammen damit die Gula Schleime von jeder Eid und von alle Eiden. When it says schal to the Gula, the Rebbe doesn't say von jeder Eid und von alle Eiden. But Gula Schleime means it has for every single Eid. Let's see if we read everything. The Piddush of Geula means Kibbutz Galus. First of all, in the Rambam, it's not this mentality thing. It's a Pashut Pshat of Pialacha. Geula is. So that's the Nichel in the Yaakov Kol Yisrael earlier. Yaakov Kol Yisrael, and part that to be Becheskes is Yaakov. Part of Im Osam Hitzliach is that's already one of the Simanim of Mashiach Vadai. L'choira, if you're going to learn the Rambam in such a way, but here the pshat of geula is kibbutz galus. What's pashut pshat? Okay. Now, Derek said, the Rebbe learns that geula is shleimus ateiv mitzvahs. And just to see this other page. Okay, but you can't do it if you're in China or you're guys in your huppets. But that's not nichel in the word geula. That's not nichel in the word geula. Geula is also pashta. There's pashta pshat of the word geula. Then there's the ba'omek yosef. But the pashta pshat of geula is to come inside Yisrael. Now just see the letter of Bob over here, just to read it inside. The Rebbe's lashon is v'timin godel karasik savei tarini loy kasavti daite shaliki mitakti psaitin mafurish al Rambam melach megdal plus veda bam sevi echis stay mar galus sharak achar kach matchila geula. How the galus is going to finish, which only after the galus finishes, only after that the geula can start. Which means this is just the very we should have read this before, but this the code we said before. That when the Rebbe says der noch is not the separate schal to the geula, it's a separate ma'aser, rather that only after the galus finishes, only after that the geula can start, because the Rebbe is coming to be shaylo these interesting shittis. Okay, I hope I read everything inside. Now okay, now so very good. So now in Chelik Hey, forgot to mention, yes. So now the way Lanias Daiti. In Chelik Hey, where the Rebbe says there's going to be the Ketzar Galus und der noch, wie der Rambam sagt, das klar und deutlich, wird sich anheben, die Schal to the Geula und der noch, die Geula mit ist was Shlema. That's the Rebbe puts a psik. If you say before the first part, the Schal to the Geula mit ist was Shlema, there's no psik. It's taka one thing that's coming after another, and after that the Rebbe makes a stop. Und der noch und durch Moshiach and Davke kibbutz galus. The Rebbe said earlier that it's going to be durch im. Durch im wird sein the Ketzar galus. So why does the Rebbe need to add in again on that and durch im? So basically, like we said before, there's two in Yonim that Rambam is the Rebbe made a list once. There's at least 20 diyukim the Rebbe learns out in the Rambam, where the Rebbe is shoylel how it doesn't fit according to the Mizrach Shita. Sometimes the Rebbe's ma'adgish has to be through Mashiach. Sometimes the Rebbe says there has to be Yaakov Kol Yisrael, which means a Siyas HaTshuva before the Geula starts. Many times it's been in Beis HaMikdash, it's before Kibbutz Galus. Sometimes, so there's two in Yonim and the Rambam. There's the Musogim of Ketzar Galus that is Chal to the Geula. The Geula is finishing, and after that the Geula is starting. That's one in that Rebbe brings many times. The Geula doesn't start before the Geula finishes. There's another Nakud that Rebbe brings many times is that Bin in Beis HaMikdash comes before Kibbutz Galus. Or like the Rebbe says in other letters that Kibbutz Galus is all the way in the end. That's the last thing. Lebasoif. It's all the way in the end. Over here, the Rebbe this is a long ha'ad over here. The Rebbe over here, like we said before, the Rebbe always quotes this all the time in the whole Torah of the Rebbe. This is meant to be, I don't know what the exact lashon is, like an encyclopedia or a liquid of everything. This is a huge ha'ara. Like the Nakuda of the Rebbe against the Rebbe's shit against this movement. So here the Rebbe brings, like if you're coming to say two things and what the Rebbe is saying two separate things. The Nakuda is the Rebbe is saying Sai Mitzad, the Musogim Ketzar Gadol, so the Nach is Chal to the Gula, the Nach Gula Mitzvah Shlema. And then the Rebbe is also saying Mitzad the Maisim that Kibbutz Galus comes in the end. The word from the Nach and Durch Mashiach and Dafka Kibbutz Galus is not a hemshich out after the Gula Hamitis Vashlim, because Gula Hamitis Vashlim doesn't start, and Chal to the Gula doesn't start, and Ketzar Galus doesn't start before Kibbutz Galus. Kibbutz Galus makes the Ketzar Galus. Under Noch and Durch Mashiach and Dafka, the Rebbe is Poiser Le'inyan Rishain. And yes, Daiti, I remember I told this to the B'yoil, and he said, he said Ken Zayin or something like that. Like he sat down and he looked at it, whatever. I don't know. I don't see any other way of learning it because, like the Rebbe says, Ketzar Galus is Kibbutz Golius. So how could you have if it's Gula Amitis Vashlema? So what do you need Kibbutz Golius for? Everyone can stay where they are. What's not with Kibbutz Golius? But then I remember I sat on this a lot. You can see many diyukim. The way the psik is one of the diyukim. Why earlier there's no psik? The Rebbe says it's chal to the Gula, they're not the Gula Amitis Vashlema. Then that makes a stop like a. Und der noch durch Moshiach and Davke Kibbutz Galus. This line und der noch durch Moshiach and Davke Kibbutz Galus is l'choyre a hemshich to achona to be as Moshiach tzidkenu. Then the Rebbe puts in like a kaviyachol and a muzgar of asl achre b'yasi. The Rebbe starts explaining achre b'yasi and durachim. There's going to be ketzar galus. The nach nischal the gula. The nach the gula mitzvah shlema. Then the Rebbe is chayzel in it. Und der noch durch Moshiach and Davke Kibbutz Galus. L'choyre, that's the way. And yes, Daiti. Seder, what do you think of Shemari? Okay, it's Kenzai. Okay, they can is Meheida, Yagala, Omen, Katie, Ratzi.